Hi, I'm Dr. Judy Morgan. I've been a veterinarian for 38 years, and I'm a certified veterinary food therapist. One of the problems that we see very commonly in practice is kidney disease in both our dogs and our cats. So I've developed recipes for homemade food for pets with kidney disease. It's a devastating diagnosis, and you want to do everything you can to keep your pet healthy for as long as possible. So I have a recipe for kitty cats. It's very similar to the recipe that I'm going to be doing today, which has been designed for dogs. The cats don't require quite as much vegetable matter as our dogs do. So we could use something very similar, but we would just modify our proportions a little bit. So we're going to make a fish-based diet. The kidneys are the root of life. And if we think about how life began in the ocean. It began with fish, and it starts with things like eggs. So those ingredients are very healthy for our pets that are dealing with kidney problems because we want to feed that kidney element from a Chinese medicine perspective. So I'm going to start with 16 ounces of cod as my base protein in this diet. Today, we're going to make this meal in our slow cooker. This could be done a lot of different ways. We could pre-cook each one of the ingredients and then mix them all together. We could grind everything together, put it in a casserole and bake it in the oven on a low temperature. Or we can do the easy way, which is putting it in a slow cooker. So I'm going to start with 16 ounces of cod. I'm just gonna put that in the bottom of our slow cooker. And it doesn't have to be chopped up because we're going to do a grinding process after the food is cooked to make sure that it's completely mixed together. One of the problems with our kidney failure animals is sometimes their digestion doesn't work as well as a healthy dog or cat. So anything that we can do to sort of pre-digest the food, which is running it through a slow cooker and then grinding it all together, it's sort of like feeding infants. Infants get food that has been gently cooked and pureed. And so that is what we're offering to our animals that might be slowing down in their ability to digest food. So we're gonna put a little bit of beef liver in here. So it's about 2 ounces of beef liver. I can find beef liver in my grocery store. I actually use calf's liver because it has less toxins in it than an older cow would have because the liver is the filtering organ. I can find that in the grocery store, but if you have problems finding organ meats, there are a lot of online sources where you can order and have it shipped directly to your house. If you're trying to find things like kidney and liver and gizzards and hearts that can be difficult to find in your grocery store. You can also ask your local butcher. You can ask the people behind the meat counter at the grocery store if they can get some of these things for you. We need to add oysters, which is very important. And then we want to add millet. I don't normally use any kind of grains in my diets for my pets, but when we have pets whose kidney disease is advancing, then we want to decrease that protein content a little bit. And one of the ways we do that is by adding carbohydrates. So I'm going to put in about 1/4 cup of millet. Millet kind of blows up as it cooks. It'll expand to a much larger volume than that 1/4 cup. We're gonna do 4 ounces of sweet potato. I like to color the rainbow when I cook. So we've got some white, some red, some orange, some green, all this stuff's gonna go in there. Okay. And then I'm going to use 4 ounces of green beans. These have been just chopped up a little bit. So that's going in there. This is a good fiber source, some B vitamins. Okay. And then we want 4 ounces of spinach or kale. Today I'm using kale. Sprinkle that in there. All right. I'm gonna use 1 egg. I am not going to use the shell because I'm going to use a powder supplement instead. Put our egg in there. That's for some of our fat-soluble vitamins, A, D, E, and K. And then I'm going to use a 1/2 can of sardines in oil so that this one happens to have 2 little fishies in it. The other fishy will get added to somebody's dinner tonight. They will really enjoy that. Now, I will say, when we're cooking this in this slow cooker all day, our house is going to smell like fish. I may plug this in out on our patio. All right, we need a teaspoon of seaweed or kelp. This is for some of our trace minerals and iodine. I'm just going to sprinkle that through there. And then we also need a teaspoon of Eggshell Calcium. So I'm using a product called Eggshell Calcium. It's available on our website. It's organic, very finely ground eggshell powder. We're going to sprinkle that in, and that's for our calcium content. With our animals with kidney disease, we have to be very careful about keeping their diet lower in phosphorus, but we still need to give them the calcium they need. And eggshell powder is calcium without that extra phosphorus added in. And then we need 1 1/4 teaspoons of wheat germ oil. So we're just gonna sprinkle that over the top. Okay. And there we have it. We need to add enough water to just sort of cover things. And when this is done, like I said, we are going to run it through a food processor to grind it completely. And then we will serve it to our pets. And anything that you don't use in one day, you can store in the refrigerator for 3 to 5 days. It can also be put in containers in the freezer if you're making larger batches. Okay, so I'm just gonna mix everything together to get all of our ingredients mixed and smash our veggies down into my juice. I added about 3 cups of juice to that to get everything coated. When you serve this, make sure you serve the juices along with the solids. There's a lot of vitamin and mineral matter in that juice, so we want to serve the juice as well. So we're going to cover our slow cooker, which is announcing that it wants to be set. Okay, so I am going to cook it for 4 hours on the high setting. I have a low or a high. So I'm going to do 4 hours on the higher setting, which is still a low temperature compared to baking something in the oven. And when this is done cooking, we'll run it through our food processor, puree it, be ready to serve, and our pets will be very happy. All right, so we have finished cooking in our slow cooker, and we have this wonderful stew. Everything broke down nicely, but I am going to go ahead and blend this or grind it so that everything is mixed in, because sometimes we get those kids who say, I'm not eating my green beans. If they're blended in, they really don't have a choice. So we could do this in a food processor, we could do it in a blender, but I'm going to use my immersion blender. Love this gadget, coolest thing ever invented. All right. Smells very fishy. Okay, so now we have a nice puree. Very easy to digest, just gonna slide right down. So for those dogs who may have a little bit more trouble digesting, this is going to make life a lot easier for them. It's nice and soupy. Going to be really easy to digest. There's a green bean that did not get chopped up. We'll put him back and play with him some more. All right, so that's a nice little, make sure it's not too hot. No, nice and warm, just perfect. There we have it. So we're going to try out our kidney diet, which is based on cod as our protein, on Miss Abby. She's young and she does not have any kidney problems. However, this diet is a recipe that could be fed to any of our dogs without any problems at all. So let's see if, and my dogs don't usually eat on the counter, but for video purposes, want some fish? She's wearing her snood to keep her ears out of her food. She's a little concerned about being up on the counter. Good. She's eating off of her My Pet platter. This is a much healthier way for them to eat rather than out of bowls. This simulates how they would eat in the wild. For storage, I'm using these little cardboard takeout containers with lids. They work really well. Each one holds just about a pound of food. So we're packing up our kidney diet here. And if your pet has other special needs, my book, Yin and Yang Nutrition for Dogs, has recipes for a lot of different conditions: kidney disease, heart disease, liver disease, and it makes your life a little bit easier having some knowledge behind what you're doing. You want to make sure, if you're using recipes from the book, that you are getting them balanced. There is a chapter on how to balance the diets, or you can use supplements. So this will give our kids some really good nutrition for the next few days. They'll be very happy.